All right, we're going to jump into Way of the Warrior Kid, Where There's a Will by Jocko Willink, chapter 19. Today I fell short of my goal. For 2 days, Uncle Jake had me prepared to break the 6-minute mile. One day we didn't work out on any legs, and the next day he let me rest completely, and I just did some stretching. So today I was supposed to make it happen. I was supposed to run a mile under 6 minutes, and I almost did. Almost. Almost doesn't count when you're against me, kid. Clock. It's a good way to push yourself. I woke up at the normal time, and Uncle Jake and I did a quick warm-up. We did a few easy jumping jacks and burpees, just get our muscles warm, and then we stretched out. You ready, Uncle Jake asked me. Yes, I am, I told him confidently. All right, then. He said, let's go. We walked down to the driveway and lined up for the start. Okay, he said, today's the day. Stand by. Bust him. I took off running, and I was running at a good solid pace. My breathing was steady, and my stride was long. I was going just about as fast as Uncle Jake. I made good time to the corner and started up the hill to the turnaround point. It almost seemed easy. Once I got to the fence, I slapped it and turned around. As soon as I did, Uncle Jake picked up his pace a little bit and pulled ahead, but I wasn't worried. I was running fast and didn't need to beat Uncle Jake to beat the 6-minute mile. On the way down the hill, I lengthened my stride and backed off my pace a little bit so I could save some for the final sprint. I don't like to brag, but I'm great at taking it easy when I have to. As Uncle Jake pulled even further ahead of me, I still thought I was running fast enough, but I wasn't. I sprinted the last 50 yards and came across the finish line. I looked at Uncle Jake. 6:13, he said in a cold voice. You didn't push yourself. I ran hard, I told him. Not that hard, he said directly. Look at you right now, standing, talking. If you had run really hard, you would be exhausted. You would be sprawled out on the ground trying to catch your breath. I stood there silently. I didn't know what to say. I let Uncle Jake down, and I let myself down too. We stood there for a few minutes. I was just looking at the ground because I didn't even want to look at Uncle Jake. I failed. I felt horrible. I failed to run once too, Uncle Jake finally said, breaking the silence. I looked at him, surprised to hear him say that. You did? I asked. There's no way a bona fide Navy SEAL like Uncle Jake has ever failed. Yup, he answered. I sure did. I was going through BUDS, the basic SEAL training. I was in second place, almost halfway done with the training. We ran all the time in BUDS. It was a mile to the chow hall where we ate and a mile back. So just running to breakfast and lunch and dinner, we were running 6 miles a day. On top of that, we ran everywhere we went. And of course, we ran all kinds of regular conditioning runs, which were a big group of runs we did as a class to get in shape. But once a week, we would do a 4-mile time run. 4 miles isn't even that long. And times we had to get to pass, the times we had to get to pass the runs weren't even that fast. There's Uncle Jake running with SEALs. But we were usually worn out for the runs, and they were in soft sand wearing combat boots. Have you ever run in soft sand? No, I haven't, Uncle Jake, I told him. Well, it's pretty tough, but it isn't that big a deal. Uncle Jake continued. Up until that point, I passed all my runs. So one morning when we lined up for a run, I decided that day I would pace myself. Do you know what that means? Hold back, not run your hardest, I replied. Exactly, Uncle Jake said. Hold back a little bit, take it easy. After all, I figured I hadn't had any trouble with the runs up until that point, and I figured I could save my energy for some of the other things we had to do, like the long swims and the obstacle course. So we all lined up for the run, and the instructor gave us a standby, bust them, and off we ran. And don't get me wrong, I ran hard, but I held back. And when I crossed the finish line, the instructor simply said, fail, hit the surf and get wet and sandy. That was the punishment for failing. You had to go jump in the ocean and then roll around in the sand so you looked like a sugar cookie. What a coincidence. I'd give anything to look like a Navy SEAL. Mark's imagination. But that wasn't the bad part. The bad part came later that afternoon when I, along with the rest of the people who had failed, had to sign a chit stating that we failed. What's a chit? I asked. It's a form you have. It's a form for your record that says you failed. And when I went through BUDS, if you failed 2 runs, you could be kicked out. I was petrified. I could not fail another run, and I did it. Next time I'd run, I ran. I ran as hard as I could. I didn't hold back anything. And that's what I did from then on. When it was time, I went as hard as I could. I would finish the runs and collapse on the ground, and I never failed to run again. That's what you need to do next time. Don't hold anything back. Always do your best. Isn't that what your Warrior Kid code says? I felt really bad. Uncle Jake was right. I could have run much harder, but I didn't. I looked up at him. Yes, Uncle Jake, that's exactly what it says, and that is exactly what I'll do. I promise. Good, said Uncle Jake. That's what a Warrior Kid needs to do. And I'm not saying you need to do that all day, every day. You shouldn't do that. And in fact, you can't do that. Your body won't allow it. You've seen that happen. You can overtrain and get too tired. Your performance will go down. But on game day, when it's time to give it your all, then give it your all. Go as hard as you can. Don't hold anything back. Do you understand what that means? Yes, I do, Uncle Jake. Yes, I do. And I did. I was already looking forward to the next run, where I would get the chance to do just that.